As a black dad, 2023. Any New Year's resolutions?
I don't believe in resolutions.
Mine is to get more sex. So welcome to this first episode of the new year for Ask a Black Dad. We'd like to welcome you guys back. We're glad you made it. We're glad you're here. We want to send a shout out to all our subscribers as we continue to grow. And as we grow, please subscribe. Please subscribe, hit that notification, follow us on all the social media platforms. We are growing. We're going to have a giveaway coming up soon. We're working on the finals of that. We're trying to work the details out of an Ask a Black Dad. It's not a convention. I don't know what we're going to call it, but we're going to
just a get together.
We're going to have a get together. We're going to discuss an issue. We're going to maybe have some special guests, do all those kind of things. We're working on that also. So we got a lot of things planned this year. We have a lot of things. Please follow us, subscribe. We're going to be giving out T-shirts finally, and some of them we're going to sell. If we use your question, you get a T-shirt. But if you want to buy a T-shirt that says "Ask a Black Dad," we're going to sell them. We're going to start selling them this year. So with that being said, let's get into this episode because we don't want to keep you guys too long because YouTube keeps telling me your attention span is short. I don't believe that.
Mine is. Mine is.
Yes. So woman, if you go ahead and give us the question and we'll get right into it. First episode of 2023.
Happy New Year.
It's too late to say that.
No, it's not.
It's
never
Happy
too late.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Have a blessed one. Safe. Glad you're here.
Yes. Okay, this is the
Miller High Life.
Right. So this question was submitted by Miss Terry. She's asking, I am a 57-year-old and find the millennials and Gen Z folks lazy, disrespectful, and so self-absorbed. They get on my last nerve. Dang, Miss Terry. They get on my last nerve. I know we are about the same age. Not sure woman's age because she looks so much younger than you. She actually wrote that. You know I do because I am.
The same age as me.
Do you guys have a trick or some advice on how to deal with these spoiled bastards? Damn, Miss Terry.
Our question is about millennials and Jay-Z's.
And Gen Z's, not Jay-Z's.
Jay-Z's. 99 problems.
We have millennials and we have Gen Z's.
You know what? Before, when we picked that question out, I like the question, Miss Terry, so don't get me wrong. But America is so involved, the whole world is right now, in tribalism. You know,
what do you mean by tribalism?
Make tribes. We have to make tribes. We have to find,
I believe that.
You're Republican, you're Democrat, you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that, you're Jewish, you're Catholic, you're Protestant. We like to find tribes. And some of the things she said were, because these are people that are our kids. Our kids are Jay-Z's.
Gen Z's and millennials.
Millennials and Gen Z's. They Gen Z's, I guess. I don't know.
Anyway,
our kids are that. And she said she called them lazy.
Yeah.
And she called them, they think they inherited.
No, that's not what she said. First of all, she called them bastards. But a lot of people.
Well, bastards, I call black people bastards.
See, a lot of people refer to like Gen Zs and millennials as entitled.
She called them, what she said, they're lazy.
She called them. She said lazy, disrespectful, and so self-absorbed.
So it's kind of entitled because it's about you. It's about you. So first of all, before I break it down, let's break down this. I wrote this down. I do my homework. I do my research. I'm Tony Kornheiser. I'm like around the horn, not around the horn.
Pardon the interruption. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first recognition of any of these generation things were the baby boomers.
Yes.
Right. So the baby boomers came after the World War II. When baby boomers start from 1946 to 1964. So after World War.
Yeah, because you just made them.
After World War II, they started saying that these, because And the people who came these terms of these generations are people who sell you things, you know, or policymakers and advertisers came with this. How do we market these people to these people? Because they weren't doing the things that the fathers and the mothers did before them. So what happens is that's how they started breaking them down. They broke them down because how do we market?
Miss Terry, he about to take us to school. Go ahead.
And they did that. And then they went to Gen X, and then the Millennial, Gen Z. Before that, we had the silent generation. And believe it or not, the greatest generation changed. The greatest generation used to be those who survived the Great Depression in the 1920s. Okay. So the greatest generation changed all of a sudden when on TV, one of the guys, news anchors, made the greatest generation those who fought Nazis. Now, I'm sure they'd be mad now to know the fact that some of these people, they fought Nazis, and we have people in America who run it with Nazi flags. But
I bet Miss Terry didn't think she was going to get a lesson.
But I digress. As the generations changed, as they grew up, they changed. What changed that made the baby boomers change? You know what I'm saying? Also, they categorized the baby boomers because you got to understand this. All of a sudden, the baby boomers were turning the age of 18. All right? Okay. When were they turning 18? During the Vietnam War. And these baby boomers was like, I'm not going to go fight in Vietnam. And so they had, what do you mean you're not fighting in Vietnam? America's at war. You have to fight. The baby boomers were like, no, we're not going to war. And so then they just gave them this is a baby boomers. What is a baby boomer? Baby boomer believes in free sex and love, drugs, and hippies and rock and roll and stuff. So they labeled them that. The baby boomers grew up and said, I'm not fighting for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Behind then, people would just go fight because their country said go fight. You know what I'm saying? They did that. They had another generation that was funny to me before the World War II. They were called the silent generation.
I never heard of that one.
The silent generation did whatever they were told. They didn't march. They didn't protest. They didn't. Baby boomers were marching. Baby boomers were protesting. Baby boomers were out there raising their voices. So when you go to then from there, you hit it's the millennials. So now you got the baby boomers, then the Gen X's.
That's us.
That's not me.
That is you.
The Gen X's come along. The Gen X's. When the Gen X's start coming along, the Gen X's are outside of Nam, and we start getting into now. All of a sudden, women getting their freedom and rights to move around and you know, take their bras off and do all these things. This is Gen X's now. This is Gen X, 65 to 1980.
See, you just made it.
These are these people. So every generation changes. What I'm saying is this: every generation changes. The generation before that generation hated that generation. You know, they picked on that generation. They said this and this and this. Gen X is taking the bras off, letting the tatas fly.
Why are you so stuck on the bras?
They was feeding the babies from the breast milk. They like, oh my God, you know you can't do it. All of a sudden, you start seeing black people with white people getting married, having them babies, and it was like, this ain't what we're supposed to be doing.
Do you need for me to read Miss Terry's question?
No, hold on. And now you got the Gen Zs and the millennials. These are kids now that's coming up, and they say you got more interracial children involved. You got these kids who sitting up here, and let's look at Gen Z. Gen Z pretty much grew up in a war, the Iraq War. They grew up in Iraq. They were
Gen Z,
1997 to 2012. They pretty much had the Iraq War. Pretty much, that's all they knew. They grew, as they were growing up and understanding the world, they saw America in a war. And so now they don't believe in the same things and the principles. And they're like, hey, we want to question. They see Hurricane, they read about Hurricane Katrina. They feeling the facts that, hey, wait a minute, you lied to us about Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? When people start talking, well, hey, America wasn't all this supposed to be. You told me America, apple pie, liberty, baseball, and all that. Hot dogs, baseball, wasn't all that. These kids are growing. They're growing. All of a sudden, computers became popular. You could read, and information was there for you. Information was there, and also misinformation was there.
True.
You know what I'm saying? These kids were growing up with this. They can sit at home and play a video game. They get them immersed in all this kind of stuff. and you're sitting up here and you're mad at them because they don't have to walk 10 miles in the snow.
Get off my lawn.
You mad because they ain't got to walk 10 miles in the snow, Terry.
Oh, Miss Terry. Is that where that misguided frustration? Oh, don't listen to him, Miss Terry.
You're mad because your kids ain't got to walk 10 miles in the snow.
She didn't say it was her kids. Okay. She was talking about the generation.
She mad at everybody.
You know what I wonder? I wonder, does Miss Terry still work? Because I think this is the first time in a long time where you have 3 generations all in the workforce. And you see the sharp contrast of those different generations. You even have some baby boomers who are still in the workforce. So now you have your baby boomers, you got your Gen X's, you got your millennials, and you got your Gen Z's.
And your Gen Alphas now starting to come up.
Yo, what?
In 2010, they got a new one, Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha.
This is all made.
It's just so
This
much.
is all made by people who trying to sell you some cereal.
And I'm just going to say, not that I don't believe in the labeling of the generations. I think that what we see is the evolution of each person based upon their parents. The further and further that you get away from the baby boomer generation and things of that nature, each one of these generations really have characteristics of each one of them. I'm going to say, like I said, we have some Gen X's and we have our twins are Gen Z's. The Gen X's and the Gen Z's, it's funny because they don't understand each other sometimes too. But all in all, I think every single one of us, including them, are products of their environments and their upbringing.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, my kids, they go to job, they're not lazy. That's because we taught them not to be lazy. They're not disrespectful because we taught them not to be disrespectful. I've heard people say this before, Miss Terry, don't get me wrong. They just look at these videos. My kids play video games. My son just got a job at working for Fortnite. Fortnite. So, and he played them video games, them rough old games, shooting, and he ain't going out there shooting nobody. He ain't self-absorbed because the world don't rotate around his butt or they butts, and they know that, and that's what you teach. So if a parent is busy teaching, he ain't worried about the differences between who grew up in this era, who grew up in this. The only difference is, when I grew up, my father preached fear. I'm telling you my father used to. I'm going to give you an example, good example. My father told me to clean the basement. Mm-hmm. I didn't clean the basement. That's what happened. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Little John boy on the walk, sometimes they told him to clean the barn. He ain't clean the barn. That's just happened. Kids don't do their chores. Don't do their chores.
And that don't change regardless of your generation.
Whatever generation it is. But one part of my father was, to make sure he enforced his rules, what he did was he decided to punch me in front of all my friends and bloody my nose and my lip. Now, see, he ruled by fear. Now, I said, I'm not going to rule by fear, so my kids don't rule by fear. Now, did my kids not do their chores? No, they did not do their chores, and I had to talk to them, but I wasn't going to punch them in the mouth, not for doing their chores. There was punishments that was going to be dealt down for not doing their chores. But if there was any punishment to be dealt down, it wasn't going to be done in front of all their friends, and I want this fear. So I didn't rule with fear. But you see what I'm saying? Each generation changed. You know what I'm saying? So each generation changes and adapts. So I remember I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't even have access to the house phone a lot of times. I remember when TV first came into our house. My kids grew up, they had the TV in the house all the time. Then all of a sudden they got introduced to computers. We weren't the first family in America to get computers, trust me.
I don't even think the boys even remember a life without a computer, to be honest with you, because they were born in 2000 baby, the 2000 babies. So, the thing is too is that I'm always trying to be careful of doing a blanket, right? Because because guess what? It's funny because I just had a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and we were talking about, you have some of these baby boomers who are feel entitled because of their age. You owe me respect because I'm your elder. You owe me respect. Miss Terry is 57. She's the same age as you.
Baby boomer.
She is not a baby boomer.
It's the same thing.
No, but I understand. But what it is once again, it is a product of your environment. And what I mean is where you were brought up at, your household, the school you went to. Everything is an environment. Tribes go back as far as man does, to be honest with you. That tribal instinct. you know? And so your family is your tribe. Your friends are your tribe. Your community is your tribe. Mm-hmm. So what you're seeing is those influences in some children, or even some adults, to be honest with you, because, you know, you're they're young adults, you know, right now. I don't know about this Gen Alpha, or whatever it's called. But those are parts
of 2010 to now.
But we have a responsibility of a different generation, if you will, since we want to reference generations, to be that example and to have those conversations. And sometimes what you see is a lack of communication, and these are the results of someone who feels entitled, or Ms. someone. Terry. Well, I would never refer to these babies as bastards, though. But I'm just saying, some of them can be bastards. But anyway,
but the bastards could be the greatest generation. The ones who they could be bastards too.
Honestly, because and the thing is too is that they have everything at their fingertips when it comes to information, like you said, misinformation, ininformation, and then, you know, fabricated information, whatever you want to call it, you know. And so, to be honest with you, their thinking too is more advanced than ours, because they have access to it freely 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I've had people on my social media get mad at these young kids because they don't want to kneel for a flag, or they want to fight because they want to say, when I have kids, I want to, you know, have clean air, or have water have water that come out my faucet that's not brown. And you mad at that because they don't vote for you, or they don't vote for the type of people. Let these people find their way. They're going to find their way. They're going to find their way. And if you are the person you say you are, if you have this respect for everybody, you know, a lot of people, I get mad at a lot of people because they get mad at these young folks, because these young folks are more accepting. Oh, they soft. What made them soft? This whole anti-bullying stuff. Because I got bullied. I don't want my kids to get bullied.
Sorry, I don't think accepting is what it is. Is that they don't just accept anything, to be honest with you. I think that sometimes you have the older generation, or I would say older people, who don't like the fact that they ask those questions that they can't answer. Remember when the kids was little, they'd be like, why is the sky blue? Or why is this and why is that? Not disrespectfully, respectfully ask the question of that. And remember the time of how you felt when you didn't know the answer to how to answer. And if some people, they're just like, oh, just mind your business, or just because I said so. But I think sometimes that's what we're feeling. And sometimes we need to do a self-check to find out, why do we feel the way we feel, not about a whole generation, maybe what's causing us to feel that way. Is it that question? Is it that person? And I'm not going to don't get it twisted. There are some disrespectful young people out there, but it's not. That's right. But it's not just in the generation. Because think about it, Miss Terry. People might think that the fact that you call these kids bastards disrespectful.
You might be.
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying you were Karen, but there's some Karen tendencies sparking in my head. Listen, a lot of my children were able to change. Not my view, but some of the words I used when it came to just talking about different people, just changing. My kids opened my world and made me see everybody and accept. Like, even if I was like saying, you know, like we used to always laugh about the short bus. We had jokes about the short bus coming to school. When my kids were coming up, there is no more about the short bus stuff, because they were able to change. Because this new generation is like this. As everybody's coming with love and affection, and we're gonna open our arms up. Now that doesn't mean everybody in the generation is like that, because you still got these a-holes who teaching Hitler is good when supposedly the greatest generation was fighting them. So you still got those people that's pushing that dumb stuff and teaching it to kids. But you got these young kids coming up and they ain't mad. Look, think about this. The Little Mermaid turned black. It wasn't the millennials and the Gen Zs and the Jay-Zs getting mad.
The Jay-Zs.
It was them old baby boomers and the greatest generation getting mad. Why is that? These younger folks was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? They weren't mad. They weren't. It was them old folks that was spreading that hate, putting their stuff on them.
Well, let's be careful of not doing a broad
I'm not doing a broad. I ain't say all of them. Okay, are you right? But I'm saying, Miss Terry, I hope, I don't know, you know, how you break down what, if white, black, Hispanic, Native American, Indian, whatever. I hope you don't meet somebody who look like me and say, you know, and if I made you wrong, if I did you wrong, I hurt your feelings in this episode, which I didn't plan to, and I don't want to. And you say, you know, all black hosts on YouTube, I like this.
You don't even know her nationality.
I just said, I hope she don't say all black hope.
No, but honestly, we appreciate the question because this is
great.
I know.
You got a t-shirt.
Yeah, because this is really good conversation. And it's funny, it's telling me because we just had this conversation, but we weren't talking about the Gen Zs and millennials. We were actually
and the
talking
Jay-Z's and the baby boomers.
We were actually talking about the baby boomers because of that.
Gen Alphas.
So regardless of what generation the person was born in, you can label people with certain things. I just say be careful of a whole generation or a whole demographic and things of that nature. So I just hope this conversation has really broadened the thought process.
Yeah. And remember, it was started by people who wanted to say, okay, how do we sell and market certain stuff to certain people? Because when you got a cell phone, I'm going to sell it to you a different way. When you got a computer, I'm going to sell it to you a different way. When you don't believe that everything the United States government says is 100% right, I'm going to sell it to you a different way. That's all. What kind of music you listen to helps me sell you something. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. And when you get tribal, you forget that we are
tribal.
We all are one big tribe. When you break down this your future, man. They're going to pay the Social Security. Don't get mad because they don't want to work at McDonald's no more and flip your burgers because they realized COVID came along. I'm worth more than this. And then all of a sudden, them companies couldn't pay $15. Now they're paying $16, $17. You see what I'm saying? So don't get mad at them because they want to start their own businesses. They want to do other things.
Yeah.
And don't get mad at them because they have the capability to work from home and you may not. I've seen that happen. These young people work from home. That ain't their fault that they have the skill and technique that's needed to do that.
Yeah, and this is accessible to all of us, to be honest with you. But I hope that your perception of your Gen Z that you're describing or your Gen X that you're describing is not based upon one or two people. You have to keep that in mind. Sometimes we have a tendency to put that on a broad base when maybe it's one or two people from that demographic.
If they disrespectful, it's their mama and daddy fault. If they rude and self-absorbed, that's their mama and daddy fault. If they lazy and all, that's their mama and daddy fault. If they watch violent video games and do stupid stuff, that's their mama and daddy fault. It really is.
Or those are their own decisions that they've made to be self-absorbed.
It's their mama and daddy fault. I'm gonna tell you that you raise a good child, you raise a good child.
That's that baby boomer process. I just say, be happy.
You showed your breast.
No, it just so happens to be across my breast. That's all. But be happy. That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna be talking about this after that.
Hey, subscribers.
What you got a me only channel? What's that called? OnlyFans?
No,
with that being said, hey, make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms. Subscribe to this channel. It's growing. I told you we're trying to give away. We want to have this a conference. I don't know what we want to call it yet. What we're going to do?
We're
going to have guest speakers.
Let's get together,
meet our fans. Hey, and some of you guys,
subscribe.
Guys and gals that we meet, come out, take pictures with us. We're going to be at the Cincinnati Beer Festival.
February 4th.
We're going to be in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Beer Festival. We're going to be having a good time.
Yeah, at the Duke Energy Convention Center.
She knows all that. She makes plans. So we're going to be there. We're going to take some videos out there, take some photographs. If you see us out there, please come sit with us, have a beer with us. We can grade beer and see what else they got going on out there. It's fun. We've been there before. With that being said, until we see you next time, listen. Jay-Z, Gen Z, Boomer, Silent, whatever it is, we all just one. Let us, in the words of the late, great Rodney King,
can we all just get along? And with that being said...
Oh, I forgot.
What?
Don't forget.
I was going to say that.
Okay, go ahead. I thought you just show your breasts again. That's what it looked like.
We love you.
I loved you first.
So Varno.